Going to go live. 3, 2, 1. Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and whatever else you want to call yourself. I'm totally okay with it. Good luck to you. Nomad has decided he would like to have a little rant.
Whatever else you want
But
to
just
call
before
yourself,
he does this, I should point out that Nomad, you are not allowed to eat meth bears. It is bad for you. It gets stuck in your teeth. All yours, Nomad.
How's it going, everybody? How you doing, Jenson? You doing well
I'm
today?
doing. I'm doing quite fine, thank you, sir. Hope you are.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on a rant, and sorry, but there was a bit of feedback, so I had to correct that. So I was a little slow in that. I apologize.
No worries.
When we came up live, so I was listening to both you and the stream going at the same time. It's really easy to get confused like that. But we have stories today, and this will be just a few stories, and then a rant, and maybe some more stories. Right.
Fair.
So since we're going to start with the since the intention is to start with stories, all right. Let's start with this live map for the Ukraine to see what kind of damage that has been done. Right, and as you can see, the bombings continue. Although at this point in time, it looks as if the Kiev area is generally quiet at the moment. I mean, there are things going around here. You can see that a railway bridge between Kiev and Irpin, right, which is this city area over here on this side of the river, all right, has been destroyed. Now, I suspect that bridge that was destroyed by the Ukrainians themselves. Keep the Russians on the other side of the river, right? Good military tactic from a defensive perspective. Is it going to be enough to save Kiev? Probably not. Let's be honest.
No.
All right, let's be honest. Now, the Ukrainians have claimed, right, and I don't know how true this is, but the Ukrainians have claimed that they actually destroyed the Russian warship that launched the missiles at Snake Island.
Oh, okay.
Right. They have a video that's been going around. I don't know whether or not that video has actually, or how accurate that video is. You don't really see much in it, right? So,
Yep.
We don't know. The Ukrainians they had a Ukrainian boat basically go out and then come rushing back toward the coastline where they had a missile battery. Right. Good tactic. All right, but that's a hit and run kind of thing, right? I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you. You can tell that the Russians don't fight war the way we do. Okay.
Yeah.
Because we would be searching for these things with aerial targets with surveillance 24/7. That's what we do. I mean, and without securing air supremacy, you can't do that. And the Russians have obviously stated, and they've obviously not decided that they needed air supremacy. Now, in modern warfare, I don't know how you can prevent things from turning into a slugfest without that.
True.
And the other thing is that the Russians have admitted they've lost 9,000, according to a Russian paper, or news service rather, that they've lost over 9,000 people, Russian soldiers have been killed in this offensive so far. So those are significant numbers. 9,000, right? How many did we lose in the Iraq War? I just want people to understand that we don't look at life the same way that they do. When he talks about the West being them, that's why. 10,000 people killed in battle to the Russians as long as there's victory, they okay. Died in a glorious cause.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's destroyed by Sam Hydra. You know, I mean, it's like I said, the Ukrainians are putting up a fight, and I can understand why. Right? I can also see why Putin launched this attack. Right? I'm not saying it was justified. I'm just saying I can understand why he did it. I think that, and I think that over time, they're easily the people that are thinking that the Russians are just going to lay over, right, roll over, and run back. They're not going to do that.
No.
Okay, and what's more is you and I heard that they were accepting prior military people to help defend their country, right? That the people for the international brigades that they were using were going to be prior service.
Okay.
Then how do you get a story like this? All right. Before he decided to buy a one-way plane ticket to the Ukraine, Adam worked 2 jobs as a security guard and a cashier at a dollar store. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, let's start with this. Excuse me. All right. He owned guns and fired them at shooting ranges, but the only fighting he had ever done was in mixed martial arts classes. That didn't stop the tall, lanky 24-year-old from Thousand Oaks, a Los Angeles suburb, from California, obviously, from flying to this war-torn capital earlier this month. He joined a new international legion set up to fight Russian forces about 15 miles outside of the city. Adam, sporting camouflage pants, is unfazed by his inexperience in combat. He will rely, he said, on sheer determination to save the Ukrainians and protect American values. Democracy and freedom are very important to the whole world, said Adam. Well, Adam, how come you didn't try this in Peking? Okay? All right? How come you didn't fly to Moscow to try and defend this? Just asking some questions, Adam. Right? Seated in the lobby of a Kiev hotel along with other foreigners dressed in their new military camouflage who joined his unit, what Putin is doing is simply wrong, and the Ukraine is the underdog, so we need to help. That statement I kind of agree with. Okay, I can't argue with that statement. I have no arguments with that statement whatsoever. All right. Since Russia invaded the Ukraine, thousands of Americans and other foreign nationals have signed up to fight for the Ukraine, answering a call to action by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Well, here's my question. Why didn't this guy, if he wanted to help fight for freedom and democracy, why didn't he join the military? It's not like you can't walk into the U.S. military and say, as a recruiter, and say, hey, hire me. Now, with the conflict in its 4th week, a growing number of foreign volunteers are flowing into the capital, signing contracts and receiving weapons and combat training before getting deployed to one of the numerous front lines of the war. Okay, now, let's stop right there. Does this sound like any training you went through when you first joined the military?
No. One thing I should point out, okay, when they're saying about him wearing these camouflage clothes, what they forget to mention is it's lilac and pink camouflage, but it's still technically camouflage. And yes, I have actually seen that as colour. Boy, was it painful on the eyes.
All right, I'm just like, we put up in a hotel, huh? Gee, basic training wasn't like that when I was in. All right. Granted, basic training was 30-something years ago, 40 years ago, right?
Yeah.
But I still remember basic training. Okay?
You mean they didn't send you to Savoy Hilton? Oh, terrible. Terrible, I say.
No, there was no lobby of a hotel where we all gathered to go running around it either. All right? Just putting it out there, right? In Ukraine's brutal modern war, though, the romance of adventure and political convictions can quickly. All right, I'm sorry, we missed a whole step here. They have been compared to the 32,000 foreigners, mostly Americans and Europeans, many of them equally unprepared, who joined the Republican forces in Spain's 1936 to 1939 Civil War. A conflict became a losing battle against the nationalists led by Generalissimo Franco, all right, with support of the Nazi Germany and other fascist Italian government Benito Mussolini. Well, how come you're not mentioning that they were freaking funded, all right, and supplied by the communist Stalin?
Yeah,
the Soviet Union. These people that went over there, these Americans that went over there, that formed the Abraham Lincoln Brigade. For those who don't know, in Spain, all right, the Americans formed a brigade called the Abraham Lincoln Brigade, all right, and they quickly found out this was a civil, brutal war. They also found out that the side that they were fighting on weren't, sweetness and light. It wasn't all roses with these people. Okay? That these were not the quote-unquote good guys fighting the good fight. Okay? They were going around butchering priests. All right? They were going around, and if you were part of the opposing factions, they would just, or if they thought you were, or you were in the area where they were just gunning people down and killing them.
Well, dude, just remember this, okay? In any situation where things go in that manner, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. And too many people forget that.
And it gets to that point, all right? When you're dealing with a civil war, that's what it comes down to. Civil wars of this nature are brutal. Okay? In Ukraine's brutal modern war, though, the romance of adventure and political convictions can quickly vanish as volunteers get pounded by airstrikes, grad rockets, and artillery shells, or engage in urban warfare in the streets. Yes. While some experienced American veterans of war in Afghanistan and Iraq are said to be among the volunteers, then why didn't you interview them? Okay? Many of these would-be fighters like Adam are novices at best. They say they do share a sense of righteous conviction. They've seen the images of civilians being killed by Russian bombardments. All right? And like those who went to Spain, they believe they are on the right side of history. Notice that they're totally ignoring what the other side of that was. I've got very little military experience, but I'm willing to go and fight and die for this guy. Brian, a Canadian business analyst, referring to Adam standing nearby, because my Ukrainian relatives are here. Now, this is somebody that has family ties. It's understandable. I have been a hunter all my life, Brian said, and I've got assigned to a sniper team here. I'm going to kill every effing Russian I can, using an expletive to describe the Russians.
Wow.
Never killed a man in my life, but I'm going to enjoy it. You're a psychopath.
Dude, let's be blunt. He's going to get the first one in his sights, and he's going to do one of three things. 1, wet himself. 2, cry. 3, vomit. They are the three things he's most likely to do, especially after he takes that shot.
Oh, yeah. Okay? Because he hasn't been trained.
Yeah.
Okay? One of the things that people don't understand about the training that we received in the military is a good portion of that training was designed to give you the ability to turn this into an illusion. All right?
Yep.
All right? You're not killing people, you're shooting at a target. You're servicing targets.
Yep.
And believe it or not, it's effective.
Oh, yeah.
All right? You're able to bring in that overlay, all right, during these kind of combat situations. Right? You're not taking lives. Right? That doesn't mean that after the fight is over, it doesn't come back. That the realization of what you were doing and so forth and how that doesn't come back to affect you. All right, but it's giving you the tool to deal with it. Right, it's giving you the mental tools to sit back and put it in perspective of your life versus theirs. Because shooting a person in the back, all right, even with Miles gear, all right, which I've done, I've never actually shot a person that I know of. All right, I've sent bullets down range, but that doesn't mean I hit anything, right? And mainly because they just told us to open fire in this area. Okay, didn't see anything, right? So that's what we did, you know.
Yeah.
That's the most I ever had. I've never had a bullet whistle by me. Right. I've always been wondering what it would be like to have that happen. Okay, but I've never.
Yeah.
I've never had that. Right. Now I'm not. When I talk about my combat experience, it's not real combat in my opinion. All right. It's not combat. I wasn't actually engaging in a fight per se. Okay. I was in a combat zone. Technically, supposedly, it counts. Whatever. Right. You always go in there with the viewpoint of, am I going in as Rambo or am I going in as the guy who crawls in the corner and cries and wets himself?
Yeah.
Right. You don't know until the enemy is shooting back at you. Right. You're never going to know. You know. But the training gives you the tools, right, to carry forward, to go forward, to move on, and to put it in perspective. All right. What you're dealing with, right? Mm-hmm. Who the enemy is, and like I said, even when you realize that you shot somebody in the back, right? Even with Miles gear, they're perfectly fine. But when you think about it after the fact, you still were willing to pull a trigger and put somebody down, all right, when they had their back turned to you. This is not what you would say cricket, right? But that's war.
Yeah.
Okay? That's war. And this idiot is going there, I'm going to be a sniper and I'm going to kill every effing. Look, dude, you don't know what the hell you're saying. All right? And as soon as you pull that trigger, if you now there are people, I'll be honest with you, there are human beings, all right, that's not an issue with. That they are psychopaths. They don't I'm gonna enjoy killing. If you're in the point where you're enjoying killing, I don't want you back. Stay there. All right, I'm serious. I don't want somebody who's gone over there and enjoyed killing people. All right, don't get me wrong. I understand the adrenaline high and everything that people get. Right, there are people that for whatever reason, when they're in the actual fight is when they feel alive, right? And you see that in their eyes, right? Those battle junkies.
Yeah.
Okay? It's in there. Oh, I feel most alive, and what I'm doing is kind of destruction, and they almost get orgasmic over the destruction that they're engaged in. Right. And it's, hopefully this guy Adam is just talking shit. I'm hoping he's just talking out of his ass. Because if he's one of those psychopaths, don't come back.
No, if he comes back, life's going to get really exciting. Anywhere near him.
Yeah, I hate to say that, but yeah, these are the kind of guys that, when you wake up one day and they're, on top of a tower, blasting away.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I'll say this right now, the training that this guy's obviously getting is not what you get. It's not training that's going to make you an effective fighting force. It's going to make you you could become a good guerrilla fighter. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But you're not a military. You're not an army. You're not a unit. You know what I mean?
No. Oh yeah.
Okay, you've got to learn unit discipline. You've got to learn that the world doesn't rise and set in your ass. All right. Mm-hmm. This kind of stuff, to be honest, that kind of bravado, they beat that out of us in basic training. Okay.
Yeah.
There was a group of people. I don't know if I said this told you the story or not, but there was a group of people when I was in basic training. All right, that were talking all sorts of smack about how if they were around, they would have gone to Vietnam and they'd have kicked ass and they'd have killed themselves some commies and all this other horse shit, right?
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. I know the ones you. I know the sort of people you mean. I remember how much fun they are to listen to.
Yeah, and unfortunately for them, right? One of our DIs heard that.
Oh dear.
Now this DI, I never saw raise a voice. I never saw him. I mean, the entire time, right? I remember to this day, Sergeant First Class Coffee, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tall, lanky black guy, right?
Yep.
Quiet demeanor for a drill sergeant, right? He didn't yell, he didn't scream or anything else, right?
They're the ones to be scared of. Yeah.
He of course was a Vietnam veteran, right?
Oh dear.
And
Okay.
and the word is he snatched those guys up, right? And and burned them. And you know what I mean when I say burned them, right? During basic training.
Oh yeah.
Just smoked the holy hell out of them, right? And
Yep.
while he was doing it, while he was doing this guy had the rest of us stand there in formation as he preached about the dangers of underestimating your enemy and not respecting your enemy and everything. And then he'd go back to those guys and lay in them some more, and then he'd go back and preach to us some more. Right? It was like, holy! I'd never seen him mad. I'd never seen him mad before. He was mad.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Right? And it was like, these are the things that you get in basic training that you don't get. They iron that out of you, that this guy's not getting. And this terrifies me for the guy. See, if you're going to accept prior service people that have been in the military, okay, people that understand unit cohesion, unit movement and things like that, then I don't have a problem. But it sounds to me like what they're doing is they're just sending these guys out just to be killed. All right.
Bullet catchers, yeah.
And that's horrifying to me. That's absolutely horrifying to me. You know, that's what's happening. And it tells me what I don't want to hear about the Ukrainians, which is they're desperate.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope for the best for these guys. Right. And Adam, I hope that you're really not the psychopath that you sound like. Okay? Right? I really do.
Yeah.
I hope you learn. Okay. You're
well, let's be fair, dude. He's going to learn. It's just whether or not he survives learning is the next question.
You know, well, yes. you understand.
Like, sorry, but you know, you learn whether you want to or not.
And the Canadian with them, you know, I hope you learn too. I hope you understand. Yeah. Now, you at least, I understand your reasoning for going over there. Adam's reasoning is not the same. You're going over there because your family's there. You have family duties, right?
Yeah.
It's not that I think that you're doing the right thing. It's not that I think that you're doing the wrong thing. But what you're doing is understandable. Adam's reaction, to be honest, anybody that wants to go over there, I can understand why you would want to go over there. I understand what you're thinking. But for God's sake, do not underestimate and do not disrespect your enemy. They're out there putting their lives on the line just like you are. It's not a joke. Yep. It's not a game anymore. Okay? And apparently you haven't actually felt what fighting's going to be like, because that's going to get serious up there in Kiev. Okay? It will become brutal. Very brutal. The Russians are doing what they're doing on a slow, methodical process because that's how the Russians fight. It's not the American way of doing things. It's the Russian way of doing things. And they're not fighting America, okay? They're fighting Ukrainians. What do I mean by that? They're fighting people who have the same, mentality, right?
Yeah.
Warfare is the same way, all right? obviously a fight with the Western powers would be considerably different. And I can tell you right now, the difference in the warfare is the intensity up front. Okay,
Agreed.
the intensity of our attacks are going to be just they're broad based and they're continuous. They don't let up, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're trained to do. Don't let up. Okay, the Russians, that's not how they do things. They go through. They have a process. Go here, stop, do this, stop, go do this, stop, move forward. Okay, goes here, stop, right? And that's what they're doing. And it seems like it's getting killed. You know.
Yeah.
Speaking of people dying, unfortunately, we have this. 2 minutes of terror, a China plane crash, shocking moment that a Boeing 737, now this Boeing 737 is only 6 years old, which tells me it's one of these new Maxes, right, that we're having the problems that everyone's talking about from before.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Carrying 132 passengers, nosedives from 29,000 feet vertically into a mountain at 350 miles an hour. Right, lawn darts in. I'm surprised they find even something like this.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, and it's got to be horrifying as to what happened here. Okay. The passenger jet was flown by China's Eastern Airlines, came down in the Guangxi, China on Monday. The state media said it was headed to Guangzhou from the Kunming and was carrying 9 crew members and 123 passengers, which I think is fully loaded, right? Maybe.
All right. Yeah.
I guess it would depend on which one it is. The broadcaster CCTV said a 6-year-old 737 came down near the city of Wuzhou and sparked a wildfire in the mountains. Rescuers raced to the scene and found debris strewn over a large area with no evidence of survivors. All right. Harrowing images show large pieces of the jet scattered on the ground while the blaze can be seen in the background. Aviation Safety Network tweeted, "We are following multiple unconfirmed reports about a possible accident involving China Eastern Airlines, all right, with a 737 89P, all right, en route to Kunming. The China Civil Aviation Administration of China, I don't know, of China, all right, I mean, obviously it's China's administration, all right, said in a statement that the CAAC has activated the emergency mechanism and sent a working group to the scene. The China Eastern flight, all right, departed at 11 p.m., or excuse me, 1:11 p.m., all right. Flight radar 24 showed that it had been due to land at 3:05 p.m., all right, which was, looks like 2 hours later.
Yeah.
Right. Flight tracking ended at 2 hours or at 2:22 p.m. at an altitude of 30,000 feet with a speed of 376 knots. The plane stopped transmitting data just southwest of the Chinese city of Wuzhou. A villager surnamed Li told state-run China news service that he had driven a motorcycle to the scene after hearing a loud explosion. He said he saw debris on the ground, including an aircraft wing and fragments of clothing hanging from the trees. The website of China Eastern Airlines was later presented in black and white, which airlines do in response to a crash as a sign of respect for the assumed victims. Yeah, I can say you can assume that there's victims here. All right. Xi Jinping.
One sec, dude. One thing I did say to you was, now, was this an accident or was this an execution? It might be something to actually be worth considering. Maybe someone on the plane needed to be got rid of. Let's be fair, it's not like China isn't willing to get rid of a large number of people to guarantee one of them is dead. Let's be honest.
Yeah. The aircraft was delivered to China Eastern from Boeing in June of 2015 and had been flying over 6 years. The 737-800 model, right, which crashed on Monday, had a good safety record, and its predecessor, the 737 MAX model, had been grounded in China for more than 3 years following fatal crashes in 2018 in Indonesia and 2019 in Ethiopia that killed 346 people. The MAX resumed commercial service back in 2020 after the 20-month safety ban was lifted following the crashes. The safety record of China's airline industry has been among the best in the world in the past decade. According to Aviation Safety Network, China's latest fatal accident was in 2010, with 44 people of 96 on board were killed when an Embraer E-190 regional jet flown by Henan Airlines crashed on approach in the Yichun airport in low visibility. That to me sounds like pilot error. All right.
Yep.
And we can go over the other ones. All right. First of all, we don't know what happened here. Okay. Obviously, it could be an accident. All right. The question is what caused this? Obviously, there's a lot of concern. Right. I mean, I personally have a lot of concern. Is this related to the issues with the 737 MAX?
Mm-hmm.
You have to ask that question, right?
Yeah.
Now, it may have nothing to do with that, okay? And then the reason I say that, okay, honestly, is because of the debris field. Because it looks like it's almost as if this airframe broke up in the air. Okay? That's not
fair.
That's not the same thing, because you what they're talking about when you have a wing scattered out there. If you come in like a lawn dart, okay, you end up with what happened to the in Pennsylvania during 9/11, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was almost contained, all of it right there. You don't have a large debris field, right? Now, when somebody says it's a large debris field, the question is, of course, what do they consider large, right? It's one of those terms, right? But from an American perspective, a large debris field is over several miles, right?
Yeah.
And you're not going to get a debris field over several miles unless the airframe is breaking up in the air, right? And it's...
Yeah.
I'm not saying these things can't happen. They do. Okay? There are... things go wrong. Unexpected things happen. Okay? I feel for the families. I grieve for the families. It's unfortunate, even though they're Chinese. Most of them probably. We don't know who else was on board. Now, I don't think that you can rule out the fact that somebody who said Xi Jinping can go to hell was on that plane.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Unfortunately, but then again, you would think that they would just like poke him in the ass with a ricin pellet or something if they wanted to get rid of him. I mean, he is in China; they would just disappear him, I would think, right?
True. The only reason I made the point is that that would be a good way, because that way they could then blame somebody else. In this case, Boeing, and they therefore get a double benefit. One, they get rid of the target, and two, they then get to bitch at Boeing and see if they can get anything out of Boeing.
Obviously, this is a stick in the eye for Boeing. You can't argue that.
Oh yeah,
can't deny that. All right, let's go on to the next story.
Mm-hmm.
Apple outage knocks iCloud and App Store and other key services offline. Really?
What a loss.
Many of Apple's most popular apps appeared to be experiencing a widespread outage Monday afternoon, with users reporting difficulty accessing core features and services. Down Detector, a site that tracks websites and outages, reported a spike in user reports for Apple Maps, Apple Music, Apple News, Apple TV Plus, iCloud, the App iStore, right? Apple Store, iMessage, and Find My Phone service. I guess Siri said some naughty words. Siri, where's this? Go after yourself. What the hell? Siri's not here, only Zulu. I mean...
Can you imagine how terrifying that would be if you did that, though? That would be kind of awesome.
All right. See, here's somebody go, oh, that'd be terrifying. Kind of awesome. I'm not sure you and I have the same view of this, Jenson. I think that you and I have a different view of how this works.
Fairness, okay. If I had one of those series or something like that, I would love to have it have the HAL 9000 voice, because that would be awesome.
Well, I'm not saying that this isn't your thing, Dave. Dave.
It would though, wouldn't it?
It would be cool. I mean, it'd be funny unless you were like, damn it, I need to get to the store. I'm starving here.
You don't need to go to the store, Dave. Just stay in. Everything will be fine.
The problems seem to start just before 1 p.m. with many users. Honestly, I said users. I did not say losers, really.
Yeah, sure, we believe you.
Noting error messages and otherwise reporting the services weren't working properly. All right, so the question is going to be who hacked Apple. Okay, that's what this sounds like, right?
Yeah, it was a broken Apple event. It's a bit like a broken arrow, but probably a lot more dangerous. Let's be fair.
Yeah, it's there, right? All right, for those who are new to the channel or haven't heard me before, all right, back away from your screens, lower your headphone volume, because this is where I begin to rant. Okay?
One moment, please, sir. What he means by that is run for your lives. Carry on.
Twitter suspends the Babylon Bee for naming Rachel Levine Man of the Year. Twitter locked the account of right-leaning parody site Babylon Bee after it awarded Rachel Levine, the transgender Biden administration official, the title of Man of the Year. The Babylon Bee story was a reaction to the USA Today naming Levine, who is the Assistant Secretary for Health for the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, as one of its Women of the Year last week. This is not a woman. Okay? This is obviously a man. All right? This is, for those who don't know, this is a full-grown man who played football in high school. Okay? This is a big man. He looks like a man. He looks like a hippie, but he looks like a man. Doesn't he?
No, I'm trying not to laugh. You are so accurate with that.
All right.
Yeah.
Twitter said it will restore the account, which has more than 1.3 million followers, if the Bee deletes the tweet, but Dylan says he has no intention of doing so. See, this is what you call, all right, principled stance. We're not deleting anything. Yes. All right, so he said from his personal account, truth is not hate speech. If the cost of telling the truth is the loss of our Twitter account, so be it. The banned article notes that Levine serves proudly as the first man in that position to dress like a Western cultural stereotype of a woman. He is also an admiral in the U.S. Public Health and Human Services, all right, Service Commission Corps. What a boss! He often wears a dress, which some people think is weird, but he does not care one bit. Come on, man. Men in India wear dress-like garments, don't they? You got to admit, this is hilarious. All right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's a joke, but they're standing by their principles. Okay? Unlike this jackass. All right? Now, I'm going to let you listen. I'm going to let everybody listen to about a minute of this yo-yo, all right, speaking, all right. This is, for those who don't know, this is Joe Rogan. We're going to listen to a little bit of this so that we can provide commentary about what he's saying. Are you ready to go?
Saying where 100 people at least have texted me and sent me emails and contacted friends because they heard Trump was coming on my podcast. And the source of it is a fake Trump account on Twitter that said, I'm going on the Joe... It's a Trump's face, and it's a fake account that said, I'm going on the Joe Rogan podcast soon. And I think it came out of the fact that Trump was on the Nelk Boys podcast, and then YouTube removed that podcast
up to here, I've had no problem with what he's trying to say.
One of the craziest things you could do, because then everyone's going to talk about how YouTube removed that podcast. Like you can't even have Trump talk.
Right. Well,
former president of the United States, you can't let him talk.
Somebody did send me, apparently not, but somebody did send me a note saying that he was going to be on your show.
Yeah, this guy's obviously a smoker. I don't know who this guy is.
I've got
I'm not really sure if that's the case.
It's not the case.
Yeah, I know.
I'll send you the look. I have decided that I am very apolitical when it comes to the future and like in political candidates. I don't want to have that kind of an influence, and
you're pussed out. What this is saying right here, Joe, is you're saying I pussed out. I've been harassed too much by my lefty friends, and I gotta kiss the ring, and I gotta bend down because I'm too much of a pussy to stand up for any kind of friggin' principles. Now, Joe Rogan has constantly talked about how he is a frickin' free rights, free speech, absolutist, that he's all supporting free speech. Well, then what you just said there, look, dude, all right, you're going to sit up there and take all the different politicians that you put on that were running for various positions, from Andrew Yang to Tulsi Gabbard to all these people that you had on your show. You are now saying, oh, no, that was a mistake. You shouldn't have been doing that, right? We shouldn't be sitting up there doing this. And if you're trying to think that you're apolitical in this world right now, then you'd better take a good long look at those supposed friggin' friends of yours on the left, because everything is political with them. You can't even go to a sports meeting somewhere where some jackass leftist doesn't make it political some way, somehow. And you stand there going, well, I want to be apolitical. I don't want to be having to take anybody on. It's too late for that, you frickin' wishy-washy fraud. This is the problem with the people who think that they're moderates. They have no core principles. Dude, I was a big supporter of yours. Really was. You have let everybody down. Everybody down that supports you. I'll tell you right now, you are now going to lose subscribers. They're just going to walk away. This is how you made your show, dude. This is why people went to your show. Do you understand, even during the pandemic should have been a first clue that just how political the left is. They made the pandemic political by attacking Trump for doing things that 3 months later, they themselves were demanding be done. And yet you can't see that. I want to be apolitical. Mm-hmm. I want to be nice. I want to smoke my weed, dude, and just have and be free for myself, man. Lost all respect for the man.
Yeah.
Lost all my respect for the man. Do you have a statement to make, Jenson?
Well, to be completely honest, I've never actually watched any of his stuff. I've seen a few people talking about it. He looks like basically an overexcited pothead. You know what? If I was actually going to define him as anything, I would say he was a left-leaning libertarian. Now, I don't know how accurate that is. I'm actually going to trust you on your statement here, but to me, he appears to be a left-leaning libertarian.
Well, he's a leftist.
Personally,
he is a leftist. I mean, the guy is a moron.
Cool.
All right. But the problem with morons like him is they think that there's some kind of middle ground. Oh, I can ignore politics. Hell, you can't even go to a football game in the United States anymore without it being some kind of political statement.
Yeah.
You going to say something?
No, I agree with you, mate. I agree. After all, you go to a football game and you get the whole "Let's go Brandon" quote, and that's still out there.
Oh, you got "Let go Brandon." You want to kneel for the anthem. You want to. I mean, they made everything political.
Yeah.
They made everything political.
Yeah.
Right?
I remember at one point that they actually defined that nothing was political and people needed to take more interest in politics. Well, that went well. That really did not, go well in people's brains. They really took the idea and lost their living mind in it.
Now,
as like you said, everything.
For those who don't know, that is a clip that I actually took a partial clip from from his show, right? That was taken initially by the Black Conservative, right? That's his handle on YouTube, right? So I just cut a section out, right? But Joe, you can see Joe Rogan, he screwed himself. He has totally screwed himself. He has no idea how bad this is going to play, and he's got to understand who these people are. Now, his audience may not abandon him totally, right? Because let's be honest, as a pothead, he's in with the in crowd. He's in with the young crowd who thinks that they're all cool and chic and everything. For the next 5 years, that'll continue. But as those 5 years pass, he's not going to be an in guy anymore. The new guys aren't going to come to him, right? Kids aren't going to listen to him anymore. Right? And yes, Matt Barkley, you're right. He was a Bernie Sanders supporter. Now, how do you support a communist, right? How you're going to claim that you're somewhere in the middle? No. You're a communist supporter. Bernie Sanders is a communist. You want to see somebody who was an apologist? Okay, tell me what Putin was doing, all right, and that Putin's been doing that is any different than Yuri Andropov in the Afghan war. Tell me.
One more time. Sorry.
Right? I see that the Nomads is ready to pro super double Russian lies again. Have I ever said, you want to talk about Putin? Right? We had a discussion a little earlier today, didn't we? Didn't we, Jenson?
Yeah, yes, we did.
Right? About Booty Boy, right? And I tried to warn people about who Putin how he sees himself. Okay? Gotta understand something. Putin is thinking that he is saving Russia, right? From the cultural and the moral rot from the West. Okay? Understand this. He does believe that. That is an aspect of his personality. Now, I didn't realize how much of an aspect of it was to his personality until later on as I learned more about Putin's personal life, right? But I'm telling you right now, this guy considers himself the savior of morality. And I'm not joking about this. Okay? You want to be scared of something, Putin Putin is and he's a true believer. Right? And he's not afraid. These people who keep coming back going, oh, he's afraid for his life, and he's shivering under the ground, and he's doing all this. Look, guys, that's not Putin's character. Elon Musk saying I'll take Putin on in a fight for over the Ukraine, and the winner gets the Ukraine, right? Dude, Elon,
that goes so well. Really well.
I would love to see Putin go, okay, boy, I'm your Huckleberry. We'll meet here. Let's do this. All right? I really wish Putin would have said, you know what? Screw this guy. I'm going to show you just how weak and flaccid, right, these people are. You called out a 7-year-old man, and that 7-year-old man would whoop your freaking ass. Right?
Yeah.
All hail Putin, the savior of Europa, for the great Satan USA. Oh, good evening there, Spud. How you doing? All right, we have only a couple more stories, and then no fun stories today. This is more just news kind of stories. Well, maybe this is enjoyable, right? An unarmed driver asked to speak with an police officer or supervisor. The officer used a taser on him, as video shows. You want to see my supervisor? Here it is. Whack! How's that going? How's that discussion with the supervisor going?
This is how you deal with Karens, you taser bastards.
All
It works wonders.
Delane Gordon, a DoorDash driver, was a few hundred yards from his delivery destination when a police officer passed him, took the U-turn, and pulled him over for speeding. All right, on the side of the road of the Collegedale, Tennessee, Gordon politely and repeatedly asked to speak to the officer's supervisor. Gordon's attorney says, but the situation escalated as the police officer demanded Gordon get out of the car, and while Gordon refused, get out, all right, pointing a taser at him, according to the officer. If the police tell you to do something, guys, unless you're Superman, understand something. You can think about him being as wrong as you want. You can talk about how he doesn't have the right to do any of this. There's a time to argue with him. That isn't the time. Okay? There's a time to plead your case. It's not when he's pulled a taser out and has it aimed at you for failing to follow instructions. Okay? I don't care if you want to if you want to escalate the situation. You know, you feel like you're in your right, in your full rights to escalate the situation. Okay, okay, but understand what the police are going to do, because their mission. Okay, even though everybody calls them law enforcement officers, their mission is peacekeeping. Okay, it has nothing to do with law enforcement initially. Okay, yes, he pulled you over for speeding. Sir, I feel uncomfortable. Please get your supervisor. It doesn't work that way. The officer tried to pull Gordon out of the car. When Gordon did not apply, he pulled out his taser again. Moments later, video shows the officer used the taser on Gordon, who screamed in agony. Yeah? Really?
Wonder why.
All right? Now, I'm sure this guy's going to scream racism or something like that in here, right? Which I don't think it has anything to do with racism, folks. I think it has to do with if the police tell you to do something and you're dumb enough to go screw yourselves. I don't have to listen to you. An ass beating is coming, okay? Police are very twitchy, especially nowadays. They have every reason to be as well. That's something else. Okay?
Hit 4 words for you that will guarantee you a really bad reaction from the police. I'm a sovereign citizen. Let's see how well that goes for you.
Now, the question is did you make your delivery on time? No, you kind of ensured that you were going to twitch on the ground for a while for not listening to the guy. I'm not comfortable with you pulling me over. It doesn't matter. Your comfort is not an importance to them. I'm not comfortable. I'm not comfortable. What's that going to mean to anybody? You know what that means? Well, let's see if a few thousand volts of electricity increase your comfort levels. All right, that's what you did. Yeah. And this is also something else, though, that I've said from the very beginning, folks. Take the frickin' tasers away from the frickin' police. Do not give the police tasers.
You say that, okay? All it means is if you'd taken away the taser, he'd have pulled out his service revolver and shot him.
No, he would not have pulled out his service revolver. He may have hit him with a nightstick. He may have hit him with a nightstick. Okay, all right, because this guy, this officer may not be. I mean, I'll be honest with you. This officer seems to be. There has to be something else going on. Okay, why did the officer pull him over? He pulled him over for speeding. That's normal. It's not normal for them necessarily to ask you to get out of the car. Now, it kind of depends, though. Okay? It really does. This sounds kind of weird, but in some areas of the country, the police are told to have you step out of the vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay? In other areas, they don't want you stepping out of the vehicle. Okay? So it kind of depends on which department and which agency you're dealing with. All right, and when this happens, what state it is, what the local areas are like. It's really weird, okay? But the simplest thing to do is do whatever they tell you, okay?
Yeah.
Do not increase the tension level. Do not cause them to freak out. Just sit there calmly and say, yes, sir, no, sir, and then answer the questions. Okay? If they ask for your license and your registration, give them your license and registration. If they ask for proof of insurance, give them proof of insurance. Okay? Don't argue with them, and don't go things, I want to talk to your supervisor, because you're going to meet Mr. Supervisor Taser, apparently. All right? I'm just putting it out there, right?
Yeah.
All right. And now this is more Doku's story, the last story here. It's more Doku's lane, but Powell says inflation is much too high. Well, thank you for that. Boy, nobody can figure that out. Nobody recognized the fact that beef, all right, has doubled in the last year, all right, in the United States. The price of beef, which is not gasoline, all right, doubled in the United States, folks. Do you think that maybe inflation is too high? Food across the board has skyrocketed in the country. Now, who eats?
Dude, you don't need to worry. Read the next part. Everything will be fine.
Right, he vowed tough action on inflation, which he said jeopardizes the recovery. Really? He said the Fed will continue to hike rates until inflation comes under control. Huh. And could get even more aggressive than last week's increase, which was the first in more than 3 years. Yeah, because all you did was raise it. All right. 0.25%, I believe, right? 25 basis points.
Yep.
All right. Now you're talking about half a basis point. And then what's going to happen is month after month, half a percent, until it's 10 to 15%. If you're going to truly try to stave off what you've frickin' done by printing all this shit. The Federal Reserve Chairman, Jerome Powell, on Monday, vowed for tough action on inflation, which he says jeopardizes an otherwise strong economic recovery. Where? The labor market is very strong and inflation is much too high, said the central bank leader as he prepared remarks for the National Association of Business Economics. The speech comes less than a week after the Fed raised interest rates for the first time in more than 3 years, which people have been clamoring, business guys have been clamoring for, to be honest, for 2.5 of those years. And I'm not exaggerating that. Reiterating a position the Fed's Open Market Committee made Wednesday, all right, in its post-meeting statement, Powell said the interest rate hikes would continue until inflation is under control, and he said that increases could be even higher if necessary than the 0.25 percentage point more move approved in the meeting. See, the 0.25 percentage points are not going to do it. Okay, and you're going to have to start bouncing it to half every month for a while, right? To get things where they need to be, right? These guys were running around printing money, but the real thing is you got to stop printing money. If you don't stop printing money, none of this is going to make a bit of difference. And let's be perfectly honest, Biden has no intention of turning that spigot off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe strong for Biden and his buddies, all right?
Mm-hmm.
But beef is bad, but it's all Russia and Trump's fault. Vladimir has got a stranglehold on the beef market here in the United States. No, I don't think that's it, folks. I really don't. And I'll tell you why. For those who don't know, chicken prices are going to go through the roof soon. Okay? For those who don't know, there's been a major slaughter of chickens and fowl in South Dakota. They killed like 86,000 birds. And they're looking, and that was just in one county, and they're looking at more counties in South Dakota. Okay. This means, and the reason they did it is because the avian bird flu, right? They're trying to stamp this out before it infects the population across the board and wipes out everything on its own. Okay?
Yeah.
Folks, you're going to see chicken prices skyrocket. Okay? pork has already skyrocketed. Right? Beef has already skyrocketed. It's now time for chicken, which also, to be honest, has been creeping up as well. I call that foul place, but oh, it was Hammered Spud. You gotta enjoy this.
Yeah.
But so these prices, and if the prices increase in America, they increase around the world. Okay? Let's be perfectly frank here. Tell me a nation that feeds itself, aside from the United States.
No. Can't think of one particularly.
Well, Brazil can, right? Argentina can, but these are third world dictatorships. Let's be honest; these are third world countries. Are you going to rely upon them to sit up there and feed the world?
No. Yeah, most countries could, but they just have to take up my suggestion of cannibalism.
Popular dinner Chinese. No, I mean,
I feel like Mexican tonight. Oh, oops.
China and Russia.
No, Jacob, no. They could not feed themselves if they tried.
Russia can with the Ukraine. China cannot. China has not been able to feed itself for a long time. Right?
Yeah.
India can. Right? To a point.
Really?
To a point.
Okay.
Believe it or not, India can to a point. Even China can to a point. Okay? To a degree. Not to prevent the huge amounts of starvation. Russia can if it's got the Ukraine. I hate to say that, but it's true. The Ukraine is a breadbasket area for that entire region. Most people don't know that, right? They really are they're not an see, the Ukraine is not industrial. It's all farmland. You can look, just Google map it. Just Google map the Ukraine. One of the things that you'll notice right away is all the farmland across the entire country, right? And then the next thing you'll notice, if you go down far enough, is you see all the farmland, and then you see the borders of the farmland with trees, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like hedgerows. Okay? Just pointing it out that the fighting there is like the hedgerow fighting in World War II.
Yeah.
Right? Which is dirty, nasty, and brutal. Okay? Just letting you know, when we were trying to cut through the hedgerows in Normandy, it took us a long time because you're fighting for yards.
Yeah.
Right? And you have to move forward as a group. The United States doesn't produce the majority of our own food. We get practically everything from China. You're wrong, Jacob.
Wait for that.
You're absolutely wrong. All the meat that you see in the stores, 99% of it comes from the United States. Even the ostrich you find in those specialty stores comes from the United States. Okay? I don't think you realize how much food the United States produces every year. You know all that rice that you find out there? That comes from the Houston, Louisiana area, right? We grow more rice than any other country in the world for our own, percentage-wise, right?
Yeah.
That's how much rice. We export more rice than any other country in the world, all right? The United States is a breadbasket. Now, if you're going to talk about things like fish, then it's kind of iffy. But we have plenty of fishing farms as well. Okay? The United States, when was the last, that's not saying that we don't get certain things, but one of the few products that's eaten a lot in America that isn't a native American, isn't a product that America produces in and of itself, is things like cocoa, right?
Yeah.
Avocados. Yeah, we get those from Mexico, okay, believe it or not. But as far as staple food products, where do you think your potatoes come from? You think we're getting those from Ireland? Who the hell can grow potatoes? No, they're grown here in the United States. There's several states, including Idaho, of course, what everybody knows, right?
Yeah.
So, All right, I think that's everything that I want to talk about. So unless you have something, Jensen.
I sort of do. Okay, you lot. Tomorrow at around 3-ish EST, there will be a show done on this channel with Doku talking to a guy called Errol Weber. He's apparently a Republican from, where did you say it was? LA, wasn't it?
Yes, the LA area, California.
Yeah, there we go. So basically, this may be the last time we get to hear from him as he's talking to a Republican from LA. But hey, you never know, he might actually survive. Do pop in and listen, it could be fun. But I think that's pretty much it, mate. You got anything else, or are we done?
Nope. I think that's what we did. I think this went pretty well overall. Hopefully everybody had a good time and had an enjoyable time as we talked about things. And I try and cough up a phlegm for my yelling rant. I'm sorry, but Joe Rogan, dude, you let us down, man. You let us down.
I was going to say, did you get the rant out of your system, mate? That's the most important thing.
Yeah, I did. I'm sure another
Good.
I'm sure another one will show up tomorrow.
What, you? No, never. When's that ever? Yeah, of course it will. Well, ladies, gentlemen, whatever else you want to call yourself, hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. And don't forget, in the description of this stream, there's a link to Nomads channel. Please make sure that you've subbed to it. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye-bye. And done.